All right, let's just get right into it. AI is pretty much everywhere in our work lives now, and yeah, it promises this massive boost in productivity. But here's a thought. What if that very tool, the one that's supposed to make us better at our jobs, is actually silently holding us back? Today, we're going to break down 5 really critical warning signs that your reliance on AI might be putting your career in some serious jeopardy. And look, this is not some small niche problem we're talking about. The scale here is, well, it's huge. By late 2025, a staggering 45% of all employees in the US are using AI at work. So this isn't a fad anymore, right? It's a deep, fundamental shift in how we do our jobs, and we've got to start talking about the hidden costs. So here's the game plan for this video. We're going to start with this core idea of AI as a double-edged sword. Then we'll walk through the 5 big signs of overdependency, everything from how it messes with our thinking to how it can actually make our skills weaker. And don't worry, we'll end on a positive note, how to find that path back to a healthy balance. This really gets us to the heart of the matter, what some people are calling the productivity paradox. I mean, on one hand, yeah, AI can make us way faster, more efficient than we've ever been, but there's new research coming out that points to a really troubling downside. These same tools might be slowly chipping away at the very professional skills that make us valuable in the first place. Okay, let's jump into the first sign, and honestly, this one is probably the most alarming. It's that feeling that your own critical thinking skills are kind of starting to fade. It's this super subtle shift from using AI as a helpful tool to just letting it do all the thinking for you. You're basically on autopilot. Now, the scientific term for what's happening here is cognitive offloading. Just think of your brain like a muscle. When you start delegating all the heavy lifting, the tough analysis, evaluating options, making those hard calls, when you hand all that over to an AI, your own mental muscles they start to get weak from disuse. And this isn't just a theory, we've got hard data to back it up. A huge study in 2025 found a really strong negative correlation. We're talking negative 0.75 between how often people used AI and their critical thinking ability. So the more they used AI, the weaker those skills got. And on the flip side, AI use was super strongly positively correlated with that cognitive offloading we just talked about. This isn't just some abstract number on a chart. It's a real feeling that actual people are having. This quote from someone in that study just hits home, doesn't it? It's that little nagging voice in the back of your head that says, hey, maybe I'm not quite as sharp as I used to be. All because the AI is always there as a safety net. All right, moving on to sign number 2. And this one is a really dangerous habit to fall into. It's what we call the hallucination trap. This is what happens when you just start blindly trusting whatever the AI spits out, no questions asked. So let's just pause here for a second. I want you to really think about this. When an AI gives you an answer, what's your first gut instinct? Is it to double-check it, to verify it, or is it to just copy-paste and move on? Be honest with yourself here, because the data on what most of us are doing, well, it's pretty eye-opening. Turns out, a clear majority, 57% of employees, flat out admit they don't check AI-produced work for accuracy. They're just trusting it. And this is happening even though we all know it's a well-known fact that these systems literally just make things up sometimes. And here's the crazy part. The problem isn't getting better. In some cases, it's actually getting worse. One study found that a newer AI model hallucinated 33% of the time. That's double its predecessor. An even newer mini version was wrong almost half the time. So we're putting more and more trust into systems that are becoming more and more confidently incorrect. And this blind trust has real and very expensive consequences. In the legal world, for example, judges have slapped lawyers with fines as high as $31,000 for submitting legal briefs that were filled with completely fabricated cases made up by an AI. That is a steep, steep price to pay for not double-checking your work. Which brings us to sign number 3. Your core professional skills are starting to atrophy, to just waste away. This is the point where AI automation doesn't just help you with a few tasks. It starts to replace the very experiences you need to actually grow and develop expertise. Researchers have a term for this. They call it AI lock-in. And this trend is picking up speed fast. Gartner is predicting that by 2028, a massive 40% of employees starting a new job will be trained primarily by an AI, not by another person. Just let that sink in for a second. The fundamental way we learn and grow in our careers is being outsourced to a machine. So, which skills are really at risk here? Well, a study of teachers in training found that being dependent on AI had a direct negative impact on all of these. I mean, look at this list. We are talking about the absolute bedrock of what makes you an effective professional. problem solving, creativity, communication, even your own self-confidence. Okay, on to our final two signs, and these two are really deeply connected. They're the behavioral clues, the things you do, that show an unhealthy dependency has really taken hold. Hiding your AI use, and that sinking feeling of being helpless without it. So here's another moment for some real self-reflection. Are you totally open about the tools you're using at work? Or do you, maybe find yourself downplaying how much you rely on AI when you're talking to your boss or even your teammates? The reasons people hide it are so telling. It's this weird mix of ambition and pure fear. You've got 36% who are trying to get a secret advantage over their colleagues, but then you have almost as many, 30%, who are hiding it because they are genuinely afraid it will make them look replaceable and could cost them their job. And that fear? It's not crazy. Research actually uncovered a real-world bias they call the competence penalty. Get this. When reviewers were told a piece of work was AI-assisted, they rated the engineer who did it as 9% less competent, even if the work was completely identical. This just creates a vicious cycle of dependency and secrecy. And this cycle leads to the ultimate state of helplessness, AI lock-in. This is when you, or maybe even your entire company, have lost the fundamental skills to even question what the AI is telling you. You're so dependent that you literally lack the human expertise to spot an error, let alone fix it. That is a massive, massive vulnerability. Okay, I know that was a lot of doom and gloom, but the goal here is not to scare you away from AI completely. Not at all. The goal is to figure out a path to balance. So let's talk about some real, concrete strategies for using these tools smartly, as a co-pilot, not as an autopilot. Here are 5 really powerful strategies. First, always keep a human in the loop to review AI's work. Second, never, ever skip manual verification. Just make it a habit. Third, deliberately practice your core skills. Maybe that means you write the first draft yourself, or you solve the problem manually first before you ask the AI. Fourth, become an expert in both AI and your actual field. And finally, let's all push for more transparency at work, to get rid of the stigma and just have honest conversations about how to use these tools right. At the end of the day, it really comes down to a choice between two very different futures. You can become the AI-dependent professional, the person who rarely verifies, who lets their skills fade, who starts to avoid the tough problems. Or you can be the AI-augmented professional, the person who always verifies, who actively works to maintain their skills, and who uses AI to take on bigger, more exciting challenges. Because here's the bottom line, your long-term value, your career security, it's not going to come from how clever your prompts are. It's going to come from your uniquely human ability to think critically, to verify information, and to exercise good judgment. The tool is in your hands. The real question is, how are you going to choose to use it?